Marya Welch was the first female to join the athletic department in 1946, joining Toomey, Hickey, and Wilson, among others. She coached tennis, swimming, equestrian, and many additional activities for rapidly expanding numbers of women students.
I decided to go back to Berkeley, which I did. So then from there, you want to know, I came to UCD. It wasn't difficult. And Davis had been the Signal Corps school for the Army all through the war. But in 1946, they decided that the war was over, they'd start classes again. So they had a very small group. Then the regents decided, after much urging from Crip Toomey, the chairman of physical education and all the athletics, they would hire a woman. So I interviewed, and they said they'd have me, so I came. That was where I started.
How many women were there on campus at that time? Students and faculty, Marya, at that time?
There were about 1,500 men. Now remember, the GIs were all coming back. And the GI Bill was probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to people. UCD had classes, was 46. I came in 47. There were approximately 1,500 students, 80 women, and 20 townies. Townies being women who lived at home at Dixon, Woodland, Sacramento, or even with relatives or their own family in Davis. So it was a nice mixture, and you couldn't, and the men, the staff of men, there were 5. Crip Toomey, a big football player from Berkeley, was the head of the whole department and intercollegiate athletic director and all. So then there was Vern Hickey, who was the football coach, and Woody Wilson, the track. The Woody Wilson relays is still being played on picnic day. Myron Shaw, a wonderful man, who had been in the military, was the baseball coach. George Strombrand, graduate from Berkeley, was the basketball coach, yes, and also tennis. So when I arrived, those men were absolutely overjoyed because they had had to teach women. And the women, well, it was things like swimming and maybe a little tennis or badminton. That was it. So when I came, classes were mixed with men and women. Our swimming classes all had men and women. Even volleyball classes. Women's basketball and men's basketball were not mixed, but most of the classes that we could, tennis was. So it was a wonderful situation from a community, friendly, happy. It was easy, it was fun. And then, because I had had sports that I enjoyed, I started things like the equestrian club, and these were clubs. No classes, no credit, but equestrian was a natural at Davis because many of the students had their own horses, right? Brought them, with their dog, and most anything else that it was a very good arrangement. We had rifle because I had had that, and I got the military to teach it and use their rifle range. We had men and women in this club. Archery, all these sports I had enjoyed. And I'll tell you a funny thing about the equestrian. I wrangled an invitation to the horse show that the 3 Stanford Mills and Berkeley always had at Mills. Now they had it at Mills because there was a woman named Cornelia Van something or other who was really a character, and this was her stables and her horses. And she ran Mills' horse show with a tight control. So here was this little cow puncher bunch coming in from Davis, and she had such control that all the people, Stanford, Berkeley, Davis, Mills, drew for the horses that they were going to ride. Okay. Well, we had to draw. We wanted to ride our own horses. They didn't want any part of that. Well, we won first place, the team, the whole team, in team events and individual events. The second year, same thing happened. We won first. Third year, we weren't invited. Well, thank you very much. But that ended that. So I'm going. I don't care what. I'm going on this. The Fulbright has been extended, and I'm going. So I went. Had a wonderful Fulbright, and that's how I got involved with the Olympics, because this was the very beginning of the Austrian technique of Weidling. And I came back with our full-length picture on the techniques of Weidling by Professor Anton Krukenhoff, who was head of skiing at the Bundessportsheim in St. Anton out of the University of Innsbruck. And I lived with these ski instructors. It's a 2-year course for Austrian ski instructors, and it's a pretty intensive course. This was the second-year students that I was with, and they were fantastic skiers. We're preparing for Olympics. So with that, and the Olympics coming up in Innsbruck the following year, I met a number of people from the Olympic Committee, and with this film that I had, which I've donated to the Boreal Ski Museum, you might be interested to know, but this was the basis for forming the American professional ski technique, which we now employ in all of our ski schools. All of the ski instructors all over use this same technique. It's almost a complete reversal from the old Arlberg technique. So that put me on a lot of Olympic committees, not only in skiing, but in diving as well.
Marya, what do you see as the biggest difference between what you experienced with women's sports and what you see today? I know you're still very actively involved with our women's program and see a lot of things happening. What do you see as the biggest difference?
Well, Title IX helped a lot from a money point of view. I can tell you, when we first started competing, we could get a car to travel, but we'd pack a lunch. We'd take pin money for a dinner or whatever, and I'd contribute a little bit as we went along. But today, while it gives, I think you give voice to the fact that it's equal to the men's program, and it has come because of you a great deal, Pam. You're the one, especially at Davis, that has brought the equality that I never saw. We were hampered by money and funds, but we also were hampered because other schools did not have women able to compete. They too were not given funds. Our budget in the entire time that I was here, clear through, was it 87? I never, ever, though I asked and tried to find out, was ever able to get the budget that men's tennis or the men's swimming program or any of the men's programs were allowed. I could only find out what was given to the women. And this really hurt because you knew what was happening. And the men's tennis coach had moved my whole tennis team that was left off the courts because they were just women, and he needed his men to practice. Well, that day I took the whole contingent, marched them down, and asked the coach to bring all of his men together, and we discussed this so that it didn't happen the next time I left with the team.
But that was the foundation that you laid for us for the future, Marya.
Well, you're very nice.
So.
No, but I know how those things go. They change from year to year, too. And it's the people you have that are there, yeah.
That was a great tribute, I think, to you, Marya, in terms of the tennis program. And I think that it might be, talking about tennis at this point, to say how proud and pleased we are to be able to have the new tennis courts that are going to be built in the future.
Yeah.
Because of the kind contribution that you made, so that we can begin that process. And to have that tennis complex named for you is one of the great joys that I've experienced in my career here. To have the Marya Welch, Dr. Marya Welch Tennis Center be coming online, hopefully within the next year, is certainly going to be a tribute to you in perpetuity. And I think it's significant of the contributions that you made in starting the program here, and the efforts and the trauma that you had to go through at times in order to maintain this program. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you for that, and to know that it's going to be here in perpetuity for you.
Is the one thing that I'm more noted for, and people have recognized, and I appreciate it. The colleges at LaRue have been also honoring me, and I have here a picture of the Marya Welch Court, which is at the College of LaRue, on LaRue, right across from Recreation Hall. So it happens that they put my name on that first one, the pink one, because that's where I once had archery out on that range. We had sort of a wild affair. We had targets of different animals, and not just red, white, and blue circles. But the worst was the grass was just nothing but, well, it was like rangeland. It had been left for years and years and years, and we were stubbing our toes, losing and breaking our arrows, and it was just more than we could handle. So we came back to outside Hickey Gym to do our archery.